ever since Trump was elected, the country seems to have been in this crisis mode. And I just noticed that I'm not. I'm not in a crisis mode. I do not think we are in an American crisis. And part of this is because I've been around for a long time. When I was a little kid, the president was murdered, okay? When I was a little kid, we're older than that, a major political candidate for president was murdered. When I was a little kid, one of the great men of America, a civil rights leader, Martin Luther King, was murdered. You know, and even still in the first half of my life, Ronald Reagan, the greatest president of the 20th century, in my humble opinion, and in most Americans' humble opinion, I think, was shot. He was shot. That was kind of a crisis time, you know, when your guys are getting murdered. That's like when American, leaders are getting murdered. That's a crisis. This is like, politics, and Trump is offbeat. But I just thought, it's time in the kind of aftermath as the dust settles from this healthcare thing. Let me just take a look at Trump, because I had all these fears about Trump. And I listed them, and I was very specific about them, and I kind of went back and kind of looked at what they were. And I thought, how's he doing compared to my fears? And I'll have a spoiler. I'll give you my end result, but then I'll show you what I mean. Is that every one of my concerns about Trump turned out to be true, but it turned out to be true in a fairly mild, benign form. So in other words, if you see a friend and he's drinking too much, you might think, oh my God, this guy's spiraling into alcoholism. But maybe he's not. Maybe he just is having a few drinks too much this time, whatever. And so you can have these concerns, but just because you have concerns doesn't mean they're going to get to the worst possible point that they could. So with Trump, I have found that like everything I was concerned about remains a concern with me, but none of it has developed into its worst form, and quite the opposite. Plus, things that I never expected, good things I've never expected, are really coming to pass, or it's still early, but are in the process of coming to pass. So overall, I'm kind of happy with where we are. So let me give you an example.